She slapped an old woman in front of the entire village. People laughed. They mocked the old woman. But before sunset, something invisible slapped her back. And by morning, the whole village was begging for forgiveness. Backhand index pointing right before we begin. Pause for 1 second. Like this story, subscribe for more powerful African tales, and comment below. Backhand index pointing right. Do you believe respect brings blessings or punishment? Now listen closely, because this story will stay with you long after it ends. The village of Zalanga rested between red earth hills and ancient baobab trees, whose roots twisted like the fingers of forgotten ancestors. By day, the village appeared peaceful. Children laughed, goats bleated, women sang as they pounded grain. But the elders knew better. Zalanga was built on old promises and older sins. That morning, the sun rose heavy and unforgiving, pressing down on the village like a warning. The market square buzzed with life. Baskets of yams, dried fish laid on woven mats, clay pots gleaming under the sun. At the center of it all stood Naira. Young, beautiful, sharp-tongued. Naira was the daughter of Chief Dambala's younger brother, a woman who had grown up knowing power but never humility. Since her mother died, Naira walked the village as if the earth owed her obedience. Her bangles clinked loudly as she moved, chin raised, eyes scanning for disrespect. That was when she saw old McKenna. McKenna was bent like a question mark, her back shaped by decades of carrying burdens no one remembered. Her clothes were faded, her feet bare, her hair wrapped in a cloth older than Naira herself. She was known as the mad old woman, or so people whispered. McKenna survived by begging near the market, never demanding, never loud. She simply sat, eyes deep and distant, humming songs no one recognized. That morning, McKenna reached out with trembling fingers and touched the edge of Naira's basket. "Child," she said softly, voice cracked like dry leaves, "may I have just 1 yam? The ancestors are hungry today." The square went silent. Naira froze. Slowly she turned. "What did you say?" Naira asked, her voice sweet but dangerous. McKenna lifted her eyes. There was something unsettling in them, ancient, knowing, unafraid. "I said, may I have 1 yam?" A few villagers exchanged nervous glances. "Why are you touching my things, you filthy old witch?" Naira snapped. McKenna withdrew her hand instantly. "Forgive me, child. Hunger forgets manners." That should have ended it. But Naira felt eyes on her. She felt challenged. "You beg every day," Naira continued loudly. "Do you think the world owes you food because you're old?" McKenna bowed her head. "Age owes no debt. Life collects it." The words landed wrong. Naira laughed harshly. "Listen to her riddles. You think you're wise." Then, before anyone could stop her, Naira raised her hand. The slap rang out like a drum struck in anger. Bah! McKenna fell sideways, her frail body hitting the dust. The village gasped. Child screamed. Basket toppled. For a heartbeat, even the birds fell silent. McKenna lay still. Naira stood frozen, her chest rising fast. The power she expected to feel never came. Instead, a cold crawled up her spine. Then McKenna moved. Slowly, painfully, she pushed herself up from the ground. She did not cry. She did not shout. She looked at Naira and smiled. Not a kind smile. Not an angry one. A knowing smile. "May your hands remember this moment," McKenna said calmly. "May your sleep carry it. May your blood return it." A sudden wind rushed through the square, swirling dust into the air. The baobab leaves rattled violently. An elder dropped his walking stick. "McKenna," someone whispered. "Please." But the old woman had already turned away, disappearing into the narrow path leading toward the forest, the forbidden forest. Naira scoffed, forcing a laugh. "You see, just a mad woman." Yet her palms burned. That night Naira couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard the slap again. But worse, she felt it. On her own cheek. She sat up suddenly, gasping, touching her face. Her skin felt hot, swollen. She rushed to the clay mirror. A faint red mark bloomed on her cheek, the same shape as her hand. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no." By morning the mark was gone. She laughed it off, dressing in her finest cloth and heading to the river with her friends. But something was wrong. The water refused to reflect her face clearly. Fish swam away from her shadow. Children stopped laughing when she passed. By midday Naira felt dizzy. Her head throbbed. She dropped her calabash and clutched her chest. "Naira," her friend Sila asked. "Are you okay?" Before she could answer, an invisible force struck her face. She screamed and fell. People rushed forward. "What happened? Who hit her?" "There's no one there." Naira sobbed, shaking. Her cheek burned again, this time worse. An elder woman stepped back slowly, fear in her eyes. "The slap has returned," she whispered. "The ancestors have heard." Word spread like wildfire. By evening Naira could no longer stand. Every few hours an unseen hand struck her, sometimes gently, sometimes with crushing force. Her family panicked. Chief Dambala was summoned. He listened in silence as Naira screamed in the background. Finally he spoke. "Bring the diviner." The diviner arrived at sunset, cowrie shells rattling, eyes clouded with dread. He listened. He threw the shells. He paled. "You struck McKenna," he said quietly. Naira nodded, tears streaming. She begged. "I was angry. I didn't know." The diviner raised his hand. "She is the keeper of forgotten graves. She carries the voices of those this village betrayed." A murmur rippled through the room. "Long ago," the diviner continued, "Zalanga broke a sacred promise. Children were sold. Blood was buried without ritual. McKenna remained to remember." Chief Dambala stood abruptly. "Then what must we do?" The diviner looked at Naira, writhing, broken. "She must find McKenna. She must kneel. She must confess, not just her slap, but the village's sin." "And if she doesn't?" the chief asked. The diviner closed his eyes. "Then the slaps will not stop. They will spread. From one face, to the entire village." Thunder rolled in the distance. And somewhere beyond the trees, an old woman laughed softly. The night swallowed Zalanga whole. No moon, no stars, only clouds, thick and low, pressing down like the breath of angry spirits. Inside Chief Dambala's compound, Naira lay on a woven mat, her body trembling. Each breath felt borrowed. Every few moments her face twitched, waiting for the next slap. Her once beautiful cheeks were swollen now, marked by invisible hands. No one dared touch her. Not her cousins. Not her aunts. Fear had wrapped itself around the household like a snake. Then it happened again. Naira screamed. Her cry sliced through the night, sharp and desperate. "Enough!" Chief Dambala roared, slamming his staff into the earth. "Bring torches. We go to the forest." A gasp rippled through the room. "The forbidden forest," someone whispered. "At night?" another asked. The diviner nodded slowly. "If she does not kneel before McKenna before dawn, Zalanga will wake cursed." No one argued. They moved as a procession of fear, men carrying torches, women clutching prayer beads, elders murmuring old names under their breath. Naira was carried on a wooden stretcher, weak and sobbing. "I'm sorry," she whispered again and again. "I didn't know. I swear I didn't know." The forest loomed ahead, dark and breathing. This was the place children were warned about. The place where promises were buried. The place where ancestors listened. As soon as they crossed the boundary, the wind died. Torches flickered wildly. And drums, low, not played by human hands. Boom, boom, boom. Naira clutched the stretcher. "Do you hear that?" The diviner didn't answer. They followed the sound until they reached a clearing. There, beside an ancient baobab split by lightning long ago, sat McKenna. She was waiting. Her back was straight now. Her eyes bright. Her presence heavy. As if the forest itself bowed to her. The men froze. Chief Damballa stepped forward, his voice trembling. Mother McKenna, forgive us. McKenna looked past him. Naira. Put her down, McKenna said calmly. Naira was lowered to the earth. The ground felt cold. Live. Kneel, McKenna commanded. Naira tried. Her legs buckled. Another slap. She cried out, collapsing fully. McKenna stood slowly, her joints cracking like dry branches. You did not kneel when your pride was strong, McKenna said. Now your body remembers humility. With effort, Naira forced herself up. She knelt. Her forehead touched the soil. I am sorry, Naira sobbed. For the slap. For my mouth. For my heart. McKenna circled her like a judge. That slap was small, McKenna said. The village's crime was not. A low murmur rose from the elders. Chief Damballa swallowed. What crime? McKenna stopped. She struck her staff into the ground. The earth trembled. Years ago, McKenna began, her voice echoing unnaturally. Before Naira was born, before many of you carried gray hair. The forest leaned closer. This village sold its children. A cry escaped from a woman in the crowd. When famine came, McKenna continued, strangers arrived with beads and cloth. They promised food, protection. But the price, she said, her eyes burning, was blood. Silence crushed them. 3 children were taken, McKenna said. One was my granddaughter. Naira lifted her head, eyes wide. They were buried alive at the river bend, McKenna whispered. No rituals, no names spoken. Their spirits were silenced. The diviner dropped to his knees. Chief Damballa's staff slipped from his hand. My father, the chief whispered. My father was chief then. McKenna nodded. And this village prospered after. Crops grew. Bellies filled. But prosperity built on bones rots. She turned to Naira. You are not cursed because you slapped me, McKenna said softly. You are cursed because your bloodline benefited from stolen breath. Naira's body shook violently. I didn't know, she cried. I swear I didn't know. McKenna's gaze softened. Just a little. The ancestors know ignorance, she said. But they do not accept silence. Chief Damballa stepped forward, tears streaming down his face. What must we do, he begged. Name the price. McKenna raised her staff. Truth, she said. Restitution. And remembrance. She pointed to the river. Tomorrow, before the sun climbs, the village will gather there. She turned back to Naira. And you, McKenna said quietly, will lead them. Naira stared up in disbelief. Me. You raised your hand, McKenna replied. Now you will lower your pride. McKenna lifted her staff one final time. If this is done, she said, the slaps will stop. And if not? The diviner asked. McKenna's eyes darkened. Then Zalanga will empty. At dawn, the village gathered by the river bend. The air was heavy with regret. Naira stood at the front, dressed in plain cloth, her hair unadorned. Her beauty looked smaller now, humbled. She spoke with a shaking voice. We are gathered, she said, to speak names we buried. One by one the elders confessed. Voices cracked. Secrets spilled. Shame flowed into the river. Then McKenna stepped forward, holding 3 small wooden carvings. These carry their names, she said. She handed them to Naira. Kneel. Naira did. McKenna touched her cheek, the same cheek she had slapped days before. The burning stopped. For the first time Naira felt peace. McKenna placed the carvings into the river. Go, she whispered. Be remembered. The water shimmered. Birds cried out. A warm wind swept through Zalanga. The curse was lifted. McKenna disappeared that very day. Some say she walked into the forest and became an ancestor herself. Naira changed. She sold her jewelry, fed the hungry, sat beside beggars instead of stepping over them. And every time she passed the market square, she touched her cheek. To remember. Because some slaps are not meant to hurt. They are meant to wake the soul. Respect is not weakness. Humility is not shame. And some elders carry entire histories in their silence. Backhand index pointing right. If this story moved you, like and subscribe for more African folktales. Backhand index pointing right. Comment below. What lesson did you learn?